Hey everybody, welcome back to Actual Investing. Today is a bit of a down day in the market, which is never fun if you're looking at the short term, but it's led mostly by Meta stock, which is down 12%. So today I'm going to talk about Meta and why their stock is down and how it impacts another company that I am watching, which is called Arista Networks. So two companies that I'm going to be talking about today. Let's start with Meta. So they just reported their first quarter 2024 earnings. And honestly, the report was not terrible, but we'll talk about why the stock was down. So on the surface level, revenue grew 27% year over year. So that is incredibly strong revenue growth, especially for such a large company. So to go from $29 billion a quarter, let's call it last year, to $36 billion a quarter, that's just impressive. And it's not just the top line, the revenues that are growing, it's also their operating margin, which has increased from 25% last year to 38% this year. So we're seeing that Meta is not only growing their top line and capturing more market share in advertising, because Meta is primarily an advertising company, at least right now, but they are also becoming more profitable, so more cash going into their pockets. So I like to see that. So why was the stock down 12%? Well, I think it has to do with this statement here. So in their press release, they say that they are anticipating capital expenditures, so expenses for the year on things, capital, will be in the range of 35 to 40 billion, and their previous estimate was 30 to 37 billion. So Meta is planning to spend anywhere from $3 to $5 billion more on capital expenditures this year. That might seem like a lot, but Meta is such a profitable business that this isn't actually a huge amount. When you look at, they had that amount in revenue this quarter, that 35 to 40 billion, they made that in revenue in just one quarter. So if that's what they're planning to spend for the whole year, I don't think that's anything to be too concerned about. That's quite a small increase, really, from what they had previously stated. However, I think it may have spooked investors who like this new lean, profitable Meta that we've been seeing lately that are not spending as much. Because if you'll remember, they spent quite heavily on the metaverse, something they're still spending money on. But the reason that they're making all these capital expenditures this year, to get back on topic, is to build out their AI infrastructure. So they're spending money on AI hardware in order to build things like their large language model, which is called Llama, which is adorable. I love that name. So Llama is a large language model similar to ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is also a large language model. And I think people are also wondering how they're going to monetize this large language model. And Zuckerberg actually talked about that. So here's an article just from Benzinga. He says that he's planning to do three things to monetize Llama. He wants to charge companies to use it. So this is probably going to be they're called hyperscalers, but this is like your Microsoft Azure, Amazon with AWS, and Google with Google Cloud. He's probably going to charge companies like that to use their generative AI tools. He's planning to advertise on those AI interactions and monetize the large language models by charging to access them. So, okay, I don't think people are going to love paying money to access a sort of ChatGPT type service. However, we've seen that there's a lot of potential there, and ChatGPT does charge for their enhanced version of the model, so maybe they're onto something here. So essentially, Meta is making good money now and investing in the future. That's why they're such a big company. That's why they're such a valuable company. And to me, I saw nothing to be too terribly concerned about with this earnings report. And I do see this pullback as a bit of a buying opportunity. I did buy shares. I dollar cost averaged a bit today. That's my plan with Meta, adding a new stock to my portfolio. So now let's talk about another company that I'm watching, a company called Arista Networks. Now, Arista Networks is somewhat of an AI company. Arista Networks is a networking company. So essentially, they sell products to data centers, and they sell the boxes that all of the computers in a data center connect to so that they can talk to each other. So that's what's known as networking. We can see here on their website, they sum it up quite well. Arista Networks is the leader, yes they are, in building scalable, high performance, and ultra low latency networks for today's data center and cloud computing environments. So Arista Networks makes products for Meta. They sell products to Meta to use in their data centers, and that is probably going to be one of the AI expenditures that Meta is increasing for the year. They're going to be giving more money to Arista Networks. So that's why you'll see ANET, Arista Networks stock, is up today because they're going to reap the rewards. This is from Arista Networks 10K. A 10K is simply an annual report filed with the SEC that breaks down so much valuable information about a company. If you're trying to figure out where a company gets their money from, what they do, definitely dig into the 10K. It's such a rich document. Use the Control F or Command F and find what you're looking for. This is Arista Networks' most recent 10K. They say Meta Platforms and Microsoft, two of our cloud customers, accounted for more than 10% of their total revenue. So these are significant revenues because Arista Networks here is a large company. They're a $90 billion company with annual revenue last year of almost $6 billion. So 10%, $600 million coming from Meta, amazing. So if Meta's planning to increase expenditures this year and next year, they said potentially they're going to increase capital expenditures again in 2025, then Arista Networks really stands to benefit from this. Arista is a company that I happen to like and that I am also buying today, starting my dollar cost averaging journey into Arista Networks. Just because look at this beautiful very high double-digit revenue growth of 21%, very profitable business on revenues of, and this is just last quarter, revenues of $1.5 billion. They made $600 million, so that's over a 30% profit margin. That is just amazing. So I think these two companies together balance each other out quite well. So as we saw today, Meta stock down, Arista Networks stock up, because Arista Networks is going to benefit from all of this spending that Meta is doing. There are other companies that stand to benefit. So companies like Broadcom and NVIDIA, which make semiconductors that are used in data centers as well, should see some benefit. And those are also companies that I like. They're not companies that I own or am planning to own unless we see a significant pullback. And that's why I like Arista Networks. So let's just quickly go to my spreadsheet now, and we'll talk about both Meta and Arista Networks. So Meta is quite a high scoring stock on my spreadsheet. My average is around 11.5 to 12 on my score, and Meta gets a 14. So how do I come up with this score? What does 14 mean? So if you're new to the channel, I rate on 4 factors when I analyze stocks, and those factors are gross margins, revenues, valuation, which I measure by price to annualized sales, and growth, which I measure by year-over-year quarterly revenue growth. So between each of those, you get a score out of 5, and I add those all up together to get a aggregate score with a maximum of 20. The high right now is a tie at 15.3. Meta scores 14.1, which is well above average. So what's helping them out is that they have a huge annualized revenue number, which means that they've already captured a big advertising market share. They're one of the key players in advertising, so that makes sense. They have a decent valuation of 8 times annualized sales. They have amazing gross margins of 81%, and they are growing revenues. Actually, you know what? I can go ahead and update this to 27.1, and that bumps up their score even more. So they are seeing an acceleration in growth temporarily, which is great to see. So Meta is a highly scoring stock. It's a stock that I've been watching for a while now and have just been wanting to buy, but it just kept going up. And I don't like to chase. So I said, okay, if we see a significant pullback, I'll start to dollar cost average, which is what I did today. So now let's talk about Arista, which also scores quite well on my spreadsheet. So Arista has a score of 12.8. Again, my average ranges from 11.5 to 12. So Arista is an above average scoring stock on my spreadsheet. They also benefit from great revenue growth, very high annualized revenues, and nice gross margins of 62. Obviously not quite as impressive as Meta's 80% gross margins. However, Arista is still a very profitable stock with great growth prospects, especially as AI becomes more and more prevalent. Companies are going to build out their data centers. They're going to buy products from Arista. Arista is going to make a tidy profit on those products. And the nice thing about Arista is that they have a wonderful balance sheet. So if you know me, you know I like a good, pretty clean balance sheet, and Arista has that. Look at that. They have $5 billion in cash and $2.7 billion in debt. So they could pay off all their debt today and still have cash left over. I talk about that a lot on this channel, that I love to see that. but that also means that they can use that cash to grow the business. So they can acquire, they can buy back shares. This is just a company that I think is going to continue to thrive. So I am beginning to dollar cost average into both Meta and Arista Networks today. I know Arista is up. That's why I'm dollar cost averaging, right? I'm not trying to time the market. I'm just saying Arista is a quality company. I want to get exposure to it. I'm going to begin investing slowly, taking a little tiny bite out of it. And hopefully we see the prices for both of these companies to just increase in the future as AI continues to grow. So that's my presentation today. If you have any questions about Arista or Meta, please leave them in the comments below. If you have any stocks you want me to cover, any stocks on this list, I can quickly scroll down my list of growth stocks here. If there's anything that I have that you want me to cover, please let me know. Otherwise, please like the video if you liked it. Please subscribe. We actually just hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you guys. First of all, I should have said that earlier in the video, but thank you so much for all of you subscribing. And anyway, I guess that's all I've got. Hope you all have an awesome day.